Got the handles too, right?
Yes, sir.
I am the fight.
Welcome to a Thursday edition of From the Nosebleeds. Joey Gunnar back with Trent Finnegan. We took a little vacation earlier this week out in New York City. Had a good time out there, but came back to a busy day because we have a lot of Broncos news to get to, starting with the fact that we could see Dre Greenlaw finally return, or I guess not return, but make his first appearance with the team this year. How are we feeling about that, Trent? Dre Greenlaw coming back.
I mean, we got to be feeling great. This team is in desperate need of having Greenlaw in the center. They've had Singleton, who's had a couple of rough outings. They've been looking at the backups, and they need that top guy in there.
No.
They signed him, and they went out and got him in the offseason. They knew that there was an injury risk, but they looked past that risk because they know how good of a player that Greenlaw could be for this defense. And if they can get him back this week, it's going to be huge against the physical Giants team. They're going to need somebody to hit Cam Scatterbo because Cam Scatterbo is going to hit him first, if not. And Greenlaw is the guy to do that. But the big thing I'm looking at is he was at practice yesterday. He was a limited participant yesterday. And, some people might look at that and be like, oh, maybe a long shot that he plays on Sunday. But I look back to Malcolm Roach last week, who was also started as a limited participant and then went full Thursday, Friday. So we have to see what Greenlaw looks like at practice today, but don't rule out a chance of him making his return this week.
Yeah, no, today would definitely be the very telling day of if he's going to play. If he's full this week, I would put all my chips on him to say that he will play this week. But if he's still limited, I doubt he'll be playing. We could most like, if I had to bet right now, I'd say he's going to be limited today. But there is a real opportunity for him to be a full participant in practice today and then bring that strength up against Scatterbo on Sunday. And that would be, again, much needed because seeing Alex Singleton line up across him, that is not anything that I want to see. That's like my nightmare right there. So hopefully Dre Greenlaw can make his return. But honestly, if he's not fully 100% ready to go, let him sit another week. And it sounds stupid to say, but you took a bet on this guy. You took a risk. You knew that he could be injured, and you're seeing it happen. You're seeing it play out in front of your eyes. There's no need to rush him back right away, especially against a physical running offense like the Giants, where that gives an opportunity for him to get injured again. That would be worst case scenario. So Sean Payton spoke on what it means for the team that he's back and what he can do. Speaking about Dre Greenlaw going into this game, and he said, quote, these are hypotheticals, right? I can't say anything about injury. He practiced today. He's been working out. He's been rehabbing it, and today was a good day. So he's very Payton-esque. That's how Sean Payton is. He's not going to actually say anything when he speaks. He's just going to be like, yeah, no, it was good. It was good, whatever. That's just Sean Payton. That quote doesn't mean much to me today. What will mean much to me today is if he is a full or limited participant. If you had to guess, Trent, is he going to be full or limited today?
I think he's going to be limited today. I do think that they're going to play it safe. Like you said, it'd be nice to have him this week against that physical attack, but they don't need him this week. This Giants team is still figuring things out, and you got a rookie quarterback in Jackson Dart who's still he's shown some flashes, but he's still very young, and he's got this Broncos pass rush to deal with, which Greenlaw isn't going to be a part of. For most of it, it's going to be the classic front four guys. So I think that the pass rush is going to be the key on defense to winning this game again. So I think that they can tread water with Singleton for another week, maybe two with the Cowboys next week. I mean, the Cowboys offense looks good. So I would think it'd be best for the Broncos to keep Greenlaw out this week to really get him good for that Cowboys game, because I think that they can win without him this week. That Cowboys game is where it gets a little gray, and then you got Houston they could win without him. Vegas they could win without him. They really need him for Kansas City in Week 11, but if they can get him back in action Week 8 against Dallas, that would be great. So, yeah, I think it'll be another limited. Play it safe. I think that they'd be fine without him this week, even though obviously it would be great to see him out on the field.
Yeah, and you mentioned a lot of games that the Broncos could win without Greenlaw. I think they've proven they can win almost every game without Greenlaw. It's not like he is a must-have piece to the defense right now. He's a great addition. He's an incredible addition, a strong, powerful linebacker. But do the Broncos actually need him? No, they're averaging 5 sacks a game. They're able to stop the pass and the run game for almost every offense that they've played so far this year. Now, Kansas City, that's a different story. Kansas City is just one of those teams that will hit you in ways you didn't even know you could be hit. But with Greenlaw out, we haven't seen any negative repercussions of it. Now, to be fair, we haven't seen a baseline of what it looks like when he's playing. But when he's not playing, we know that the Broncos are still a successful defense. It's not like this one player is holding the Broncos back from succeeding.
No, and again, like would it be nice to have him? Yes. Would he have done better covering Saquon Barkley on that 50-yard touchdown than Alex Singleton did? Yes. Would he be better at covering these tight ends on these little shake routes over the middle than Alex Singleton is? Of course he would be. That's why they went out and signed him, because they needed him. But like you said, they've shown that they can win without him, that all he's going to do is take this linebacker unit from being really good to great. And when you're already really good without your best player, that's all. You know how many teams would kill for that, to have your best linebacker be out for the first however many games of the season and your defense is playing at this level? They've allowed the second fewest points in the league, and the other teams in the top 5 have already had their bye. The Broncos are the only team in the top 5 that haven't had a bye in total points allowed. So
yeah,
Greenlaw's addition is going to be phenomenal for this team, for this defense, but you need to make sure he's 100%, because I don't know if he was quite 100%. He had the quad thing in March or April, sometime in the spring.
Early in the offseason.
I don't remember. And then it was like, oh, it's not like ruptured or fully torn, so we'll be fine. But then the first time he gets stressed on a deep route where he's playing man coverage, he pulls it, he re-aggravates it. So you need to make sure with these soft tissue injuries that he is 100, 150, 200%, because you can't risk having this guy miss the back half of the season or even a wild card game.
Exactly, especially going towards the playoffs. We're almost halfway through the season. It sounds crazy, but we're in week 7 now, and we are pushing towards that midpoint of the season. We're basically there. Back half of the season is going to come quicker than expected. So yeah, keeping him healthy is of the utmost importance. But his injury isn't the only one that's being addressed, because there's more injuries to talk about. We've got injuries at the left guard position that were an issue last week, and now they're even more of an issue this week as Pert has stepped away. He stepped in for Powers and is now out for this week. What's going on with this left guard issue? It's really a problem that isn't being addressed as much as it should be.
Yeah, and first off, so me and I assume a lot of other people in Broncos country were watching that game on Sunday like, wow, like Pert does not look good. Like he let some pressures, he missed some run assignments, he couldn't get a couple reaches.
Yeah.
And it's just like, this guy didn't look that great. And then, here it comes out that he is a torn MCL, and he played the rest of the game.
Yeah, he suffered it early in the first quarter, I believe,
was
right?
it the third? I think I saw something that it was the third play of the game.
Yeah, early. And
you didn't see any signs of him like wincing or complaining or trying to come out. He played an entire game as an O lineman where you're constantly like back in your stance trying to block, and all that weight is down on your knee.
Yeah,
played the entire game with the torn
These guys
MCL.
in the trenches, they're crazy. They're actually insane people.
And I applaud that. That is phenomenal. And if you're a Broncos fan, you got to be happy that a guy like that is on your team, who's willing to sacrifice, who's willing to battle, even with a torn MCL. So
100%.
But now the game's over. He's obviously not playing, and now you got to look. You got to look at who they can find. Calvin Throckmorton has been on the practice squad. He's been around. Or you got the big P, Alex Pachevsky, number 63, who's really more of a tackle, but maybe you can shuffle the line because he's been good. So, and then you got another classic Sean Payton quote yesterday. He says, I think we have a real good plan relative to what we're wanting to do. Can you decipher that quote at all?
What does that mean, Sean? I'd hope you have a plan. What is it? Well, I guarantee that was not the question asked. Like, which reporter goes up there and goes, so do you have a plan? Yeah, I bet he has a plan. What is it? Like, just freaking Sean Payton. But yeah, no,
What
the
do you-
left side of the line is going to be important, especially going up against somebody like Sexy Dexy for the Giants, who's going to be attacking every single play. You know, you're talking about the front four for the Giants. That's dangerous. They're dangerous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're dangerous, and Sexy Dexy's probably going to eat a little double team with one of the guards and Wattenberg at center. But then you got Burns off of one edge, you got Thibodeau off another edge, you got Abdul Carter just lurking. They just play him in random off-ball rolls, kind of like Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's not there yet, but Penn State plays is a little similar. I think that he's really good. So
Yeah.
this might be the biggest test for the offensive line this season. I mean, they've been great. They've been great this year, and they've kept Nix clean, and Nix has been getting the ball out early. But you look at the other teams Denver has played, and then you look at what this New York Giants defensive front brings to the table. I definitely think that this is the biggest challenge for them. And with a huge question mark on Thursday of game week at left guard, they need to find some chemistry. They need to find a guy they can trust. And you don't need like a first team all-pro guy like Quentin Nelson over in Indianapolis. You just need a guy who is going to be able to know exactly what he's doing on every play. He knows exactly who he needs to block. He knows exactly where he needs to push those guys to. And he needs to be able to execute it fine. You don't need anything great out of this third string left guard, but you just need somebody who knows what they're doing and is competent enough to hold their own against an NFL front.
And you don't need something great, but you definitely need something good. You just mentioned those four names out there. That is going to be the toughest front four that the Broncos face all year. I mean, there's maybe some arguments to be made going forward in the season, but those four guys are going to be putting pressure on Bo every time he gets the ball in his hands. It is not going to be an easy battle for this third string left guard coming in. It is going to be the hardest battle that he'll face. So yeah, making sure that the chemistry is good is the first thing that you need to work on. That has to be the first thing that they're working on yesterday, today, and tomorrow heading into this game. But this game's going to be big for a number of reasons, you know, things that we just mentioned, but for one really, really big reason, and that's because Demaryius Thomas is getting enshrined into the Ring of Fame. Long time coming. Demaryius Thomas, one of the all-time great wide receivers for the Broncos. Of course, I can't see any Broncos fans that don't absolutely love Demaryius Thomas. What can you say about Demaryius Thomas here, Trent?
I mean, like you said, he's a fan favorite. He's one of the best receivers in Broncos history. He was such a vital part of all the winning that happened in the 2010s. And it's great that they're honoring him. You know, I remember I was in 6th grade and I went to one of his camps, and it was so funny. And we were playing like flag football one day. It was down in Aurora or something. And I'm sitting there and he like joined my team, and like I'm lined up at receiver, and I look to my right and Demaryius Thomas is standing next to me, and he made sure to sign every autograph. He made sure to take every picture. He made sure to ask parents how their days are going when they picked up their kids from camp. Like, everybody sees what he did on the field, but not everybody saw what he did off the field. Mm-hmm. He was genuinely like one of the best professional athletes to the fan base, to the community off the field. And I think that impact that he had on Broncos country is 100 times more important than everything he did on the field. Yeah. And I just think that it's awesome that he's finally getting honored. I think it'll be great on Sunday. You got the whole Super Bowl 50 teams getting honored. And hopefully that puts a spark in this Broncos team to go out and say, hey, let's do this for DT. Let's go get a win for him.
100%. 100%. I don't see anybody forgetting the tandem of Emmanuel Sanders and Demaryius Thomas for this Broncos unit within the next 100 years. That'll be one of those two, that dual threat group that lasts in people's memories for a lifetime. Really one of the best. And Bo Nix spoke on him saying, quote, I remember with Tebow and DT with that game winner. That's one of the things I remember. My dad was just leaving Georgia Tech when DT got there. So I'm pretty sure my dad was part of the regime that helped recruit him. Always thought he was a really good football player. Even playing the triple option at Georgia Tech, he found a way to be a good receiver. That's impressive itself. Great receiver for this organization, a great guy, and I'll never forget his walk-off touchdown. It was pretty cool in overtime. So kept it simple there, but you could tell that Demaryius Thomas still means a lot to this team out there. Going forward, these guys have a lot of love, and it's great to see how they're being honored this week. It again was a long time coming, seeing this whole Super Bowl 50 team out on the field. Definitely will give them a little bit of a drive. And then one final thing that really means a lot to the players and means a lot to the fans is the Broncos had a second consecutive week where they had the defensive player of the week, and that's Jonathan Cooper going out there and winning defensive player of the week after 5 tackles, 2 sacks, and 1 stuff. Just incredible numbers from this defensive unit 2 weeks in a row. Are we seeing the best defense in Broncos history be created right in front of our eyes? It may sound a little early to say so, but I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up being one of the the best Broncos defensive units we've seen.
Well, so I would put him at 3, right? This kind of, I don't know if this year, maybe this era of like maybe last year and this year. I mean, you got Orange Crush, you got No Fly Zone, and you got these guys. You got the 25, the
these guys,
20s Broncos.
I think we got to start a new nickname. We got to get a nickname for them.
We need a better nickname than these guys.
Guys. I like it. I don't hate these guys.
We'll just call them these guys for now. But
yeah.
You have Surtain in the back. They bring in Hufanga this year. I think Brandon Jones has quietly just been great again this year. And then the pass rush, you got Cooper and Benito. You have Zach Allen, who is eating every double and triple team he faces and still denting the pocket and getting that quarterback. John Franklin Myers is making an impact. I mean, this team is on pace, I think, at 82 sacks or
85.
something along 85 sacks.
Yeah.
And I get it. And they're like going to snap the record. And I get it. Like, but they're playing one more game or playing 17 games. 85 sacks is ridiculous.
They would beat the record if they played 15 games at this pace. So there's no argument to be made anymore.
But yeah, this team, I would put them 3rd in kind of Broncos. I don't know if it's like defensive eras, defensive unit, because like there's always changing parts. But I would put them behind Orange Crush and No Fly Zone. But if we get maybe 2 years of this, but you got to think, so many of these guys are locked down into the future. I mean, Benito signed, Cooper got a deal, Allen got a deal.
They're here.
They're here to stay. These guys are here to stay, and they're here to show that when other teams come to Denver, when they come to the Mile High City, you got to deal with the altitude, and you got to deal with one ferocious defense.
One ferocious defense. That's the fact right there. Incredible numbers from these guys. And going into the future, I see them breaking the record. I'm not going to lie. This is the year where it happens. I know that it's been a record that has been held since 1984, I believe, by the Bears. Is it 84 or 87?
Let me double. I think it's 84.
I believe it's 84 by the Chicago Bears. 72 sacks is insane, but we're talking about 85 sacks here in the Mile High City. Incredible numbers. Last year our DPOY was Pat Surtain, and now he's not even really being talked about on the defensive unit for the Broncos. It's insane how quickly things can shift from PS2, the best corner in the league, which he still probably is, and now it's, you got Nick Benito, you got Jonathan Cooper, you got Talanoa Hufanga, who's had a great season so far. The numbers that these guys bring, the energy that they bring, the way that they're able to stop the ball so quickly. I mean, they held the Jets to -10 passing yards. Incredible numbers.
-10 in an NFL game.
In an NFL game, -10. Justin Fields threw for 45 yards and was brought back for 55 yards. Half a football field they lost, and he couldn't even throw half a football field. What numbers we're seeing from these guys. Great overall defense. I expect them to look as good as they have throughout the entirety of the 6 games they've played so far. They're going to bring all of that and push, bring it right to the Giants. Make sure that these 2 rookies in Dart and Scatterbo are fighting for every yard that they get. It's going to be a great game. I can't wait to talk more about it. We'll get some score predictions in tomorrow. But other news today, one of the more talked about players for the Denver Nuggets last season has found a new home this year, and that's Russell Westbrook. the only way that I could describe having Russell Westbrook on the Nuggets last season was using a couple words and describing as the Westbrook experience. There wasn't much middle ground with Russell Westbrook. It was either you loved him and he won you a game, or you hated him and he lost you a game. And because of that, it just makes me love Russ a little bit more. This was one of my favorite players growing up, watching that OKC Thunder team with Westbrook, Harden, and of course, Kevin Durant. Loved those guys. And having Russell Westbrook come to the Nuggets was like a full circle moment for me. And now, unfortunately, at least in my case, he's found a new home. I loved Russ, but what he brought to a team was not necessarily winning basketball. And going to the Sacramento Kings for his 18th season, I doubt that he's going to be bringing much winning basketball to them either, because they're in a position where they're not going to be a winning team. Do you think that the Nuggets should have maybe taken a second look at Russ? I know he had a player option, but maybe tried to court him a little bit more into coming back, or do you think his time was done?
I think his time was done. There was a video that came out from former NBA champion Danny Green, who said that Westbrook declined his player option with the Nuggets, which was for around $3 million, I think. He declined that because he was not going to have a role with this team, period. He was going to be the Ish Smith, the big vet off the bench that doesn't play unless it's a 40-point game, and he's just there to mentor the young guys.
Yeah.
And hey, Westbrook loves basketball. No, you can say a lot of things about Russell Westbrook. I don't know if anybody loves basketball more than Russell Westbrook. That guy loves the game, and he wants to play, and the Kings, he's going to play with them. There's not a lot of teams. Maybe there's only one team by what we've seen, and I just think that it's going to be the best fit possible for him, probably because it's the only fit. But I don't think it would have worked out in Denver this year for what he wanted, what the Nuggets wanted. But the Westbrook experience you described it's just, like you said, you can't really put a true definitive on it. Yeah. He had that game where he and Jokic both had the triple doubles.
Yeah.
He had some great
Aaron Gordon when you thought he was going to take it in game one of the semifinals against OKC, where Aaron Gordon hits it.
Yeah, but then, he had the big assist. But then the Timberwolves game.
I was just going to say the Timberwolves game, like one of the biggest mistakes I've ever seen in modern basketball.
So it was fun, and I was kind of on the same boat for you. Like I had a Westbrook jersey when I was little growing up. Like I love that dude. I would always play with him in 2K, but
he was unstoppable.
It was so cool to see him in Denver, and you just get these great moments. Also bring up the 3-pointer he hit in game 1 of the first round against the Clippers.
Yeah, huge.
That was huge. And he played on a broken hand. We just talked about Matt Pert for the Broncos playing through injury. He had hand surgery right after the season ended and after that rough conference semis against the Thunder. So it's really hard for me to put a finger on it, because it was cool to see, but then when the lights were the brightest, except minus the Clipper game, when the lights were the brightest, he didn't do what this team needed.
Well, it was half and half. There were those times where he made that pass to Aaron Gordon, but then there was times where he just kind of shied away and he made some crazy mistakes. But if we're talking about teams that he'd fit on, and this is kind of just me sidebarring real quick, how fun would it be to see him go to the Brooklyn Nets with Michael Porter Jr.? I mean, you want to talk about a team that's just fun. You put him on the Brooklyn Nets, you're going to watch some of the best and worst basketball for 48 minutes of your life, and you'll leave either the happiest you've ever felt or the most sad you've ever felt. But just to break it down all the way, he didn't fit on this team any longer. The Nuggets were trying something with him. They wanted a veteran presence, and Russell Westbrook, he's an MVP. He's a 9-time All-Star. He doesn't want to be that veteran anymore. Not anymore. He doesn't ever want to be that veteran that just coaches the players. He wants to go out there and continue playing until his legs give out. That's just the kind of guy he is. And there's something to be said about how the NBA has treated him, honestly. I may be going off on a little bit of a tangent right now, but I'm just such a big defender of these players who are former MVPs, 9-time All-Stars. This guy put his life and heart into this game, and he goes and he starts on the Thunder, is an MVP there, one of the best players, goes to the Rockets, doesn't really work out there, goes to the Wizards. The Wizards, you can't really change him. Then goes to the Lakers, and the whole community around Los Angeles just tears him to shreds, just completely destroys Russell Westbrook. He goes to the Clippers, still is averaging 40% from 3, and then they send him away. He comes to the Nuggets, has another solid season, and then he's just like, you know what? I don't want to be a backup. I want to continue playing. I'm going to Sacramento where I can play a little bit more. What has happened to him where he is now he goes from MVP to now a minimum contract player? It's sad to see, but I am definitely glad to see that he's still in a position where he could play. It's unfortunate that it wouldn't happen here, but with Jamal Murray, Julian Strother, Jalen Pickett, the additions of Bruce Brown and Tim Hardaway, there's just not a space for him anymore. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, and I just think the big thing is that he hasn't really changed his play style for his age. Like you can see, he doesn't have the burst. He's not throwing down these tomahawks and these windmills that everybody grew to love in 2017. And these guys that succeed when they're older change their play style to a less physical thing. Remember, he used to be one of the best mid-range jump shooters in the entire league.
Oh yeah.
And now he's hitting the side of the backboard on half of them. It seems like.
Yeah.
So
it's age.
And now what you hope he doesn't do a Russell Wilson. Well, Russell Wilson has played himself out of the Hall of Fame. I think you just hope that Westbrook can not hurt his legacy that much. And I think that it'll be good for him this year. Looking at this Kings roster, they have DeMar DeRozan, not a ball handler, Malik Monk, not a ball handler, Zach LaVine, not like none of those guys.
Zach
are
LaVine's
guard.
more of a ball handler, but it'll still come down to Russ.
He's a ball handler. I should have said facilitator.
Yeah.
Zach LaVine can't facilitate like Westbrook can. Like they have Dennis Schroeder, who is a good point guard, and then Westbrook on here. But other than that, those are really the only two good playmaking guards they have. So I really do think
and Nick Clifford. Don't forget about the CSU kid.
Nick Clifford and Isaiah Stevens is on a two-way deal with them, I think, as well. So I think this Kings team will be fun. I think that they might win 40 games and be a play-in team.
That's lofty. That's higher than I'd give them. I'm not gonna lie. That's a few more ones than I'd give them.
I think that they could make the play-in, but it's just I don't know. But it'll be a chance for Westbrook to go out there and lace up the sneakers and go put up 10 points
and light the beam. And hopefully he can light the beam a couple times.
Light that beam.
Light the beam. I'm an honorary
that.
Kings fan moving forward this season just for Russell Westbrook. Same way I'm an honorary Nets fan for Michael Porter Jr. But that'll do it for today's episode of From the Nosebleeds. Thank you guys for joining us. It's been a fun day talking a lot about the Broncos. Always a big day when somebody as big as Dre Greenlaw comes back to practice. Hopefully we can see what he looks like this evening, or this around noon, I guess, is when they'll be practicing. Will he be full or will he be limited? I'm sure we'll be back tomorrow to give you a little update on where he's at, looking forward into this game. But tomorrow we will, of course, be back talking about what it's going to look like up against this game, or up against the Giants. Are the Broncos walking into another trap game, or are they going to be able to handle this one easier than they did against the Jets? But we will see you guys all tomorrow. Thank you for joining us. Until tomorrow, y'all have a great rest of your day. Bye, y'all.